Welcome, curious minds out there, to another mind-bending episode of Flying Chariots: The Rise. Tonight's guest is Tricia Brown, and she brought a true cornucopia of incredible stories with her. Tricia will tell us about her UFO experience in 1986 in California. Besides that, she wants to share a puzzling story about teleportation and possible Sasquatch activities, which sounds very exciting. And we will hear about some paranormal incidents too, maybe. So, Tricia, good to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me. We're from all over the place. This is kind of fun to all connect.
Yeah, going international here.
Yeah.
So, Tricia, before we start, you're into a lot of things. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, how you grew up, what you're doing.
Okay. Okay. I'm from California. I'm from an area called Silicon Valley or the Bay Area, near San Jose, but the actual town is Saratoga, near the hills, near the foothills, near the Santa Cruz Mountains, and very pretty area. So growing up near the mountains and then driving over the hill, which that's what you say when you live there, to get across the other side of the mountain to Santa Cruz, the ocean. And so just starting at a very young age, like I've tried to figure out what the age I was. I think I was about 2.5 or 3 when I had my first way beyond seeing beyond the normal 5 physical senses. So I've had some pretty profound experiences starting from there and then going forward. So when I was about in 4th grade is when I remember having the beginnings of the studies and the gaining the knowledge of things like angels and the afterlife. And I remember like being in junior high or high school thinking that I wanted to be a parapsychologist. And I'm like, I didn't know what that meant, but I kind of was like knowing it had to do with something with beyond the normal range of the usual, but with psychology and with the spiritual side of things. And so throughout the years, I have done a lot of studies, spiritual studies, and I also like studying healthy psychology, philosophy, and living a good life, fitness and nutrition, and all sorts of different things like that. So at a certain point into my experiences with seeing spirits and then learning about, when you get into like let's say a paranormal team or a paranormal investigation team, and you're learning about it, people will say, oh, you need to learn how to protect yourself better. And, I'm like, well, what does that mean? So I've gained knowledge in these different things. And so when you learn that there's different realms of spirit, and learning that the lower realms of spirit are not, I don't want to be connected to the lower realms of spirit. I want to be connected to the high realms of spirit. And, that would mean starting off with, okay, a loved one that has crossed over and has come back, and now there's your grandma visiting you, or an ancient spirit of the land coming to connect with you because they have gone into the light, and then they're coming to connect with you in a positive way, in a helping way, that sort of thing. Then you have your spirit guides, you have the helping spirits of the world, the angels and the archangels and the ascended masters, and then you have source energy. So there's higher and higher and higher realms to connect with. So and I've also had where I've seen some lower realms. And so when a combination of being told that, learn how to, learn what to do to protect yourself. But how I've taken that is learn how to have very high positive energy around you and within you, which will then attract to you the higher realms. And then you're connecting with the higher realms, and the lower realms just can't be around you because of physics or metaphysics. And I went to school for that too. So for energy work and these sorts of things. So And then my studies of listening to elders talking, the native people, the ancient people, the indigenous people, the tribes people, the shamans, the different words that I'm using to describe people who study shamanism, or the connecting to the land, connecting to nature, understanding that everything has a consciousness, and that you can connect to the trees, you can connect to plants and fish and to anything that's around you, because everything is energy and everything has a consciousness. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. That would be pretty fun to learn how to learn these things and then apply them on purpose, and then see what happens for fun, for the connection of it, for the, because when you start listening to other people's experiences and you're like, wow, I want to have that too. So in my own studies of the experiences that I had starting off at a very young age, and realizing that I was having where these high vibrational beings were coming to me. So I wanted to learn how to continue that and have these really good experiences with the high vibrational beings. So I hope this makes sense. When I try to explain this, it's just, sometimes it might seem a little, I don't know, abstract or I don't know. Does it make any sense what I'm saying so far? As you guys are listening.
It does make sense.
Good.
It's just sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand for people that don't mess with all that stuff, of course. But yeah.
Well, it's not messing with. It's kind of like, let's say that a group of people have a way of being that is really good and helpful and uplifting, and there's a friendship level there and a kindness there and all these really good things, and you want to know what you can do to get connected with those people. It's not messing with something. Mm-hmm. It's just what, like taking the tools and then applying them, or learning what to say. It's kind of like learning different customs or cultures. Like if I was going to go to Germany, I would probably want to learn how to be respectful when I go into someone's house, right? And I would say, I'm going to try to learn the right way. But if I came in and was trying, let's say you could tell I was really trying, but then I accidentally did something, oops, right? You'd have more of a, oh, I could see she's trying. Okay. Right.
Right.
So when you're out and about in the world and you're showing as best as you can respect and consideration of when you're in someone else's house, or when you're on the land, and you're saying, thank you for allowing me to be here, I really appreciate it here, these sorts of things, then they're gonna know that you're a type of person that is respectful and kind and considerate and that kind of thing. So what's been happening with me in my life is that I will go out into the world. Let's say I'll be on a hike or camping or something. And in some way or another, I will be connected to, like, the non-physical presences, the good ones, will do something to let me know that they're there. And so it's fun. It's fun to have that, so that's a little, I could really spend like a lot of hours going into like deeper of who I am and what I'm about and whatever. But these subjects are like the paranormal and the mystical and whatever. And so I'm like, I'm gonna take my studies, my spiritual studies, the experiences that I've been having, and I'm going to use them to see if I can connect to the Sasquatch people. And I'm going to use them to see if I can connect to the ancient people, because I think it's very interesting to learn from people who lived thousands of years ago. And so I've taken, like, how in the paranormal world, there's sort of a format that's been set up for a long time. You have your instruments, you do these things, you say these things. It's sort of like the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's been going on for a really long time. And so I decided that I wasn't going to, as I was getting involved in, like, let's say the Sasquatch topic, I was going to use my way of connecting instead of the same way that some other people are doing it, which I'm not saying that they're not getting results. I just wanted to have my own, so that when I have my own experiences, I know it's because of me doing it my way and not, or, I just knew that I was having my own connection to them. And so I started having these sort of flashbacks of different experiences that I had in my life to show me that they had already been letting me know that they're there. And so that's sort of some background, So
Yeah.
I'll just say all that. And I've had a chance to talk with other people on other, podcasts and these sorts of things. And so I really like being able to share, because we all have our different experiences and we can all learn from each other. And it's fun to hear different experiences. So the first thing you talked about was the UFO thing. So if you want, I can kind of follow the way that you said my different experiences if you want to. Or do you have any questions?
Yes. Since you mentioned the ancient people, that's a very interesting topic. And I do believe that, or I like the idea that all the things you've talked about, the connection to different realms, stuff like that, people back then, many, many years ago, hundreds, thousands of years ago, people back then were able to do that kind of stuff. And I always like to say that people back then might be able to communicate with telepathy and things like that. This is, I think, because we disconnected from nature a little bit throughout the years. And people back then were more into nature and were in touch with the nature spirits and all these things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they weren't distracted or desensitized. They were completely just had no concept of other noise other than natural noise. Right. Although when we see these petroglyphs of these interesting objects that in some of these shaped looking spaceships or whatever, maybe they did hear those noises of the sound. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of going off on a little tangent there, but I'm just saying, pretty much though, all they had was the natural noises of the wind and the water and each other talking and, that sort of thing. And so they were very much connected to, I mean, everything has a spirit. So you can connect to things. They would have connections to fish and animals and plants and who knows what else. So I like learning from their teachings. And the people who are offering the ancient teachings, I think it is good for us to learn from. It's honoring our ancestors. We're all connected, but we can learn how to have these same experiences as them. And I also think too, in getting to learn from the more modern native people that are from the descendants of the ancient people. Some people have, because of the time frame when they were moved from their natural homes and then were removed from their families and then were sent to these schools, and then they started kind of forgetting their backgrounds, that they also can do these things to remember. And I always like to be able to say that, to anyone out there that they can also remember and get back to what they know. And I really honor the people that stay doing their natural native, the powwows and the sweat lodges and the gatherings and all that sort of thing. So I'm glad that and I want them to stand more up for themselves and bring it back more, because they have a right to. So anyways, I went on a tangent. Sorry.
I'd like to I'd like to give one or two examples when I talk about that stuff in that context. Um, Animals, they can sense an earthquake coming or some other catastrophe. They can sense,
Sorry,
it coming, and they
I'm not laughing at you. I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a
no,
second.
it's all good. It's all good. They're running, they're running and go into hide and stuff because they have still have these senses. They can sense the stuff. We've lost it completely. And another awesome, yeah, you can call it example is I've read this story about Jane Goodall, who does research with the chimpanzees and
Yeah.
other apes. And that's so interesting what she said. She talked about these chimpanzees traveling to this waterfall every now and then, going to this waterfall. A group of these chimpanzees, they visit this waterfall every now and then, and on their way there, the closer they get, the more excited they are. They start screaming and jumping around. They're getting more and more happy the closer they get. And when they're there, they stand upright and they sway to the sound of the waterfall. That's so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
They
Oh,
stand there and sway left to right and sway back and forth to the sound of the waterfall. And then they start
oh, wow.
climbing the waterfall, climbing the rocks, throwing sticks into the waterfall and stones. And they watch the stones as they get carried away by the water. And they do that for
Wow.
a little while. And after they're done with throwing sticks and rocks into the waterfall, um, they sit and stand besides the waterfall, and they're in some kind of meditative state. They just sit there and suck up the
Wow.
atmosphere and enjoy the atmosphere. That was a great read. I read this article and saw videos about it. That's awesome, and that shows how connected they are with nature. To us, it's fascinating that these animals do this kind of stuff, but it's completely normal
Mhm.
what they do. It's the most normal thing in the world. We
Right.
don't do that. We look in our cell phones all day long,
Mhm.
stick the nose in our computer and stuff like that. This is why we lost these kind of senses.
Well, they're there. You just, but they are there. We all have the inner senses,
They're buried.
And so when sometimes people think, oh, only this person or these people who are psychics and mediums,
Mhm.
no, they may have had some more natural abilities, and then they developed them further though. They also learned how to, what does it mean and how to develop their own senses. So we all have these inner senses. But yeah, that's really interesting to hear about them, because I'd never known about that. That's pretty interesting.
I will
I
send
was
you
laughing.
the article.
I was laughing because I was talking to a guy a few days ago, I guess. I was on his show, and this one person called in, and we got on the subject about about the earthquakes and these sorts of things. And it's just about, because their senses are so heightened that they're able to recognize that vibrational thing happening sooner than we can,
Right.
that.
Right.
So
Another thing that I'm interested in your opinion is there's certain scientists and researchers that say that our pineal gland was way bigger long time ago, double the size, maybe triple the size,
really,
I don't know, was way
yeah.
bigger. And we know what it does, right? And we know that it produces a tiny, tiny amount of DMT. And so, what is your opinion on that? Does that have something to do with all this stuff? Or,
Well, this area, the third eye area here, is one of where one of the energy centers are, that is connected to that area, and also down deep into the brain. Yes, the pineal gland is considered that same area that has to do with abilities. Yes, and that's talked about a lot. The more that we study about the ancient, like Egyptians, I just think that they were more tuned into these things, and their lives were more centered around these things, and it was just a way of life. And then as time has gone on, and our man-made constructs and the things that we think about, and just gotten farther away from it. So, I mean, I don't know if that answers your questions, but we all have these areas, these energy centers in our bodies, and this area has to do with vision, clear vision, seeing bigger pictures, these sorts of things. And then the crown chakra also is for connecting to infinite intelligence and solutions and answers, and connecting to the spirit realm and all these things. So the more that you take care of these energy centers, the more that you're going to be able to be tuned in to the better things that are around you in the world. And you'll be able to see more and hear more and sense more if you are taking care of this physical apparatus, because it's doing more than just being skin. It's doing more than just, I mean, obviously that's very important too. Our physical body is just in the fact that it's bones and muscles and the blood's flowing through us, but there's just more going on that you can go down and go down the rabbit hole and all these subjects and gather a whole lot of information in. But and I can talk about all that, but I definitely wanted to be able to talk about some really great experiences that I've had with these different, I was like, I want to have experiences with the Sasquatch people. I want to have experiences with the higher realms of spirit. Could I have experiences with the ETs? Could I have it, just how many, what can I connect to? I just wanted to be so open for a whole bunch of different experiences.
Yeah.
And so the more that I have tuned in to the world around me, the more I'm being shown. And I'm saying, will you teach me? Will you show me? I want to be friends with you. I want to learn from you. And then I'm having these experiences. And so you have to be paying attention too. I mean, you can't be staring at your phone and then, or looking at all your recording devices, or your, setting up your thing, and then an experience is going to happen. It doesn't just wait for you to have it all set up. It's just going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure. So I've gotten a chance to have, and there's people that have experiences every day. And that's kind of like what I was going for. I want to have my life be mystical every day, multiple times a day too, and I wouldn't say it's gotten to that far, but I've had days in a row where I've had two things one day and another thing the very next day, or, that kind of thing. Multiple things in one day. And, when I speak about this, when I say these things out loud, they're listening to me. And then later on, they'll do something to let me know that they were listening to me. Yeah. And it makes me laugh, because it shows also that they have a sense of humor. And I definitely I want to go more into detail about what I'm talking about. So those are the kind of things I want to really be able to talk to you guys about and share with everybody, if you're interested in that.
Of course, but you okay. Told us about an interesting experience in 1986 in California. So what happened there?
So it's a suburbs, a nice suburbs, and I was 16, and my boyfriend we were getting ready to drive from his house to my house. We were backing out of the driveway, and I would say it was about 10 at night. And it was the kind of street where you drove under the speed limit, because even though it probably said 25 miles per hour, you still drove less than that, because the way that the streets were situated. So we're just kind of putting along, just kind of getting out of the driveway and starting the road. And we're coming up to a little intersection. And I look up, and imagine that there's these, houses just next to each other. And above one of the houses is this round hovering object just hovering there. And I've tried as best I can to describe, like, let's say the size of a Volkswagen Bug. Like, you know, that's as best as I can describe, like, that size of it. So it wasn't really big, but it was bigger than definitely a remote control something. And it was like in this neighborhood, there was some pine trees. So imagine the size of a pine tree. And then above the pine tree, let's say another half size of a pine tree. So while it was, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what's that? And I was afraid that, like in the movies where this beam of light comes down. So I was telling him, don't go any closer. And he's like, but I just want to see. And so we sat there in the car watching this hovering thing. And it wasn't really far away. I mean, it was just right there. And it had, I couldn't tell if the whole thing was spinning or if there was lights on it that were changing colors, or maybe there was lights all the way around it and it was changing colors. I couldn't tell because it would go red and then, like, let's say white, you know, that kind of thing. The colors would change, but I couldn't tell if, you know what I'm saying? So he said, I just want to kind of just drive past it so I can see another angle. I'm like, okay. So he drove down the street a little bit more, turned around. And so now we're seeing it, the other side of it. And it's just, I mean, in my years of life, you know, when you're not, I mean, this was in 1986 too. I mean, it wasn't as, all this happening all over the world. It wasn't as much happening as far as I knew at that time in the world. And so we're sitting there watching this object hovering in the sky, and it moved over a little bit over the top of another house, and a helicopter flew nearby it, which was a little bit strange, I felt, because obviously whoever was in that helicopter saw it, and then it left. So we sat there and watched this thing for like 15 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden, from 0 to like a zillion, it just went across the sky. Like, it was just like Star Trek or something. And I could see it going as it went across the sky, just a zillion miles per hour across the sky. It really showed how big the sky is, how as fast as it was going and how far I was able to watch it go. I just couldn't, it was just mind boggling. It changed my life after that. So the next day, it was in the paper. It said, light above Saratoga returns. And it said, like, the starting of the article was like, second Tuesday in a row, this light above Saratoga, blah, 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 whatever the whole article was. And then this person apparently said, like, Moffett Field, didn't know anything about it. The airports didn't know anything about it. No one knew anything about it. This helicopter definitely saw it. And it was whoever this person that had this article was able to interview a couple people who saw it. This one girl that was at the local college, she went out, left her class to go use the bathroom. She saw it. She laid down on the grass and watched it. So I started recognizing over the years since more and more of UFOs in this area of the world, and finding out that there is a lot going on in this part of the world. A lot has been seen. There's like a website with everybody putting in their different things that they've seen. Over the years, you know, you talk to a person, oh yeah, they've seen things in the same area. And so that was in 86. And so I'm going to say 2010, I was working in a dental office in the same town, and I was talking to a patient, and she happened to live 2 houses away from that same boyfriend's house. And her son saw a football field sized UFO flying over that area. And so the hills are really close to there. So he was up in the hills one day, and he was watching out over the landscape. of the whole area of the valley there, and he saw many, one over at that point, one in that point, like all in these different points in the sky, and they all started taking off together. So yeah, that was my very first experience, and that was the most close as far as seeing a UFO. I feel like since then I've had some experiences where I have been visited in my room where I've seen some interesting orbs, and I woke up where I saw this, like a big, what do you call it? That when a camera stands on this
Tripod.
Tripod. Yes, it was like there was a tripod in the room by the door with this. It looked totally sci-fi. This laser beam device pointing at me. I woke up, I saw that for a second, and then it sort of just like vanished. So I've had these strange little things like that. And somebody said, well, it sounds like you're being monitored, possibly. And I'm like, okay, well, I haven't had anything of feeling like I was abducted or anything like that, but I did teleport. I did have an experience of teleporting one time, but I feel that had to do more with the Sasquatch people or going through a portal. I'm not sure, but yeah, so that's a totally different thing. But,
did you have the chance to document any of these UFO experiences in some kind of way, like a photo or video, something like that?
No, I mean, back then, I mean, it was not even thought of to do that. We didn't have any, professional video cameras with us. And that was even before like America's Funniest Home Videos. So we didn't have like our own little video camera with us. But I bet you though, if we did, we would have definitely videoed it.
Of course,
so this was just more like, again, with your own eyes. Your own eyes, just taking it in, like, oh my God, what am I seeing? Like, this is real. Like, and so my mind went to, okay, maybe this is just government. Maybe they're just trying out different of their own remote controlled things like objects to, I don't know, monitor us. I don't know. Gotcha. I didn't know how to take it. It's hard to wrap the mind around that there are truly beings coming from other places, from another galaxy or something, or from another, I don't know, planet. I mean, that just seems so right. I mean, but now, oh my gosh, it's been going on. Well, if we can go back, I mean, obviously, like, again, it's been shown in the art, the rock art, for thousands and thousands of years, and maybe millions of years.
Yeah, I like the Hopi Indians and the Kachinas.
Yes,
you know about that,
right?
And
exactly
the 200 gods that came down and helped the tribe survive and learn agriculture and mathematics and other things to survive. But yeah, again, the rock art for being thousands and thousands of years old around the world, telling the same story
around the world.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The ancient cargo cult that's just been forgotten. That's what I stem from, that area of belief of like the cargo cult is like how mankind was interacting with physical beings in the remote past, and kind of stemmed from there, where everybody's making pyramids because they're all from the same teachers.
Yes. And then also too, I mean, they were, it's okay. So some of my thoughts is that, they were, I don't know if necessarily their physical bodies were teleporting necessarily, but possibly, it's possible too that they were doing, when they would do their meditations in the dark rooms inside the pyramids, and then the side of these other structures, was that they were possibly projecting to different areas through the solar systems and that sort of thing. connecting to these different places. And then also the fact that, I mean, this could sound really far off because of not thinking about this before, but we don't come from here. You know, we are non-physically, we are from the non-physical, and we've come to the physical. So that's really like hard to wrap the mind around. I know that, but like it's already been shown that in science, particles start from the non-physical and come into the physical. So we as a being, we start from the non-physical and then we come to the physical, and we start in our mom's womb. And then we form, and then we, you know, which just seems completely natural. But if it was a sci-fi movie, it would seem weird because it would be in a pod, and then it would be forming in a pod, and then it would become a being. So in our history of being human beings, we did not start from this planet. So we were from, you know, a whole bunch of.
Well, that's why the Russians call themselves cosmonauts, because they believe that they came from the stars and they're returning to the stars. So I think that's an awesome concept for the space program in Russia. I'm like,
Yes,
I like that concept.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, the more that you go down the rabbit hole of our teachings, it's like you can really, like, if you want to, you can learn a lot and expand our minds.
That's true.
It's profound.
Have you heard of the Dogon people, the Dogon tribe?
That sounds really, tell me more, because it's vaguely sounds familiar.
Yeah,
tell me more.
Live in West Africa. And one aspect of their culture is that they have good knowledge of Sirius B, which is a companion of Sirius A. And even way before telescopes were invented, the Dogon people, they had reports about the orbit and the color of Sirius B.
Okay.
And they told stories about beings they called Namo, Nommo, Namo.
Okay.
And these beings, they said, came from the stars. And these beings, they brought knowledge to the Dogon people, knowledge about astronomy, about agriculture, about even spiritual messages. And they say the God of the universe, they call Ama, A-M-M-A, Ama, sent the Dogon down to Earth, to the humans, and it described the Namo. They described them as half human, half amphibian beings. So that's a little bit weird, but they are red, and once they set foot on Earth, they went completely white. And
interesting.
They say, or that they knew. They say that they knew they originated from the Sirius system, and they came from a planet inside that Sirius system. So, yeah, that's a interesting story. If you want to have a look at the Dogon people, that's a very interesting read. This tribe, a lot of knowledge. Mars plays a role in their history and in the story. I'm not 100% sure which place Mars takes in the story, but yeah, I have to look it up too. But yeah, that's basically the story of the Dogon people in a nutshell.
I think ancient Sumerians talk about Mars being like another home base.
Something like that.
I mean, I'm open for it because, you know, in 2015, I went to a special school, Delphi University of Spiritual Studies, and part of the school was learning about our background. And that's what I was talking about, is the understanding that, you know, part of how we create here is through thought. So, you know, we didn't start off with our bodies. Our consciousness, or who we truly are, is not our bodies, it's our consciousness. And so we created through our thought to be on this planet. So we started from different areas, and then we were there, and then we were there, and then we were here. But it makes total sense to me that these beings that were probably here for, that's these buildings that are being found, they were here and then they left and they were coming back and forth. And it completely makes sense to me. I know it might seem like really far-fetched to some people, but it totally doesn't to me. I'm like totally listening to you like, oh, okay, yeah. Like it's like you're no different than saying like, oh yeah, these people, they drove to Nebraska. Like it's not weird at all, right? It's just doing it. I don't know if that, I'm just saying like I've learned some things in my studies, and then I've had these experience. When you have your own experience, it goes beyond believing. I mean, you could hear something and say, that makes sense. That resonates. But then when you have an experience, then you know it. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, but I know I've talked to people that do remote viewing, and, I'm just saying like, I really, in my studies, my school, learned some things, and then applying these teachings, or you're like, somebody says, if you do ABC, this is going to be the result. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then you get the result. So, you want to, if you want to have the experience, then like, okay, so this makes me think about that show where the people are sitting outside and they're wanting to connect to the beings, the UFOs. So they're outside sort of meditating and calling them in.
Stephen Greer. Yeah.
Yeah.
CE5 stuff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, I knew you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's happening to them. And there's been footage. So you can't make that up. I mean, it's just beyond,
you should try to do sometime. We found out I think about a year ago from a guy he coined the word the visible highway, and he just happened to be practicing in his backyard his backswing and his golfing. And he wanted to do it in this slow motion so he could see what he's doing correctly and whatnot. Yeah. And he realized when he filmed himself in slow motion, there was something in the sky that just came out of the blue and just kind of sat and flew off. And he's like, "Oh, what the hell was that?" He started just testing it out, just putting his camera out to the sky for 30 seconds of slow motion, and he starts catching all this activity just in and out through the clouds and stuff like that. And he had me and Daniel try it ourselves in our own backyard, and we both caught something pretty unexplainable, and it was pretty fascinating. So he was just kind of claiming that there's this constant activity in our skies all day long. It's just in and out. They're coming in, from outer space, from maybe into our hollow earth. Who knows? But again, they have their own agendas, and they have their own
doing it. Yeah.
Right. And again,
I think that sometimes us as people, we might see something, but it's just too far beyond, and so we can't accept it that it really happened, and so they just blow it off. But yes, I totally agree. I mean, I've had experiences my whole life that it's like it happens, and then it really doesn't matter if it was recorded or not. It happened. I mean, even if I were to tell you guys, and we're having this conversation with everyone that's listening, it's not going to make it more or less real. It's just fun to talk to. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is part of reality. I mean, it's there to be experienced. And I think it's pretty fun. I mean, I've seen some things like these giant, like looking meteorite things going parallel to the sky. What the heck was that? And did anyone else see that? Or did I only see that, type thing? Or these sort of like sparkler things coming out of this, falling out of the sky and going through the atmosphere, and then literally going down into the intersection. Did anyone else see that, or was I the only one see that? These sorts of things. Or I'm looking up at the sky and I'm looking at a star, and then all of a sudden the star is blocked out by something. What the heck did that? Something just blocked the star. Something went in front of it. So yes, I mean, I've seen lots of things, and that's just the celestial stuff. So tell me what you guys saw. I mean, what was an experience that you had when you did that?
So we both.
I caught. Yeah, go ahead, Dana.
Go on.
Sorry, what I caught was like a perfect orb that just shot out. It came super fast and then it slowed down and then just went through in and out through the clouds. But the fact how fast it was going to like almost a complete slow down where you think the person inside would be jelly on the wall. But again, the fact that this guy who told us about this said that we probably would catch something on a patchy, cloudy day. And he was right. It was kind of funny that he pointed us in that direction. Yeah, he did. Wow. So I recommend you trying it as much as activities you've been finding yourself around. Yeah, you might catch something really cool.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I just like I like just experiencing it with my own self. That's more my thing, is using my physical self and seeing it, but if I don't have what did you use, like a camera? I mean, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I could use my phone, I guess. I could probably I just
use my iPhone that has a setting
really?
that has a setting for slow motion.
And okay, yes.
It's for 30 seconds because if you sit there for like minutes, you're gonna be looking at things for hours.
Right.
Just 30 seconds. And yeah, you'd be surprised at what you might just catch.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. You're talking about the slow-mo feature on video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do that. Why not? Yeah. And so Daniel, what did you have? What was your experience when you did it?
I've seen a strange object in the sky moving very, very fast.
Wow.
It wasn't noticeable when the video ran on normal speed, but when
oh my God. Okay, I get you. Okay.
I've seen it. Yeah, it was kind of triangle shaped. Actually, I have a picture here if you want to see it. I can share the screen if you want to.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. I don't know.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's a little bit blurry. I have a better picture of it. I edited a little bit, but I don't have it here right now. I sharpened
it. It moves across the sky.
Yeah, and it flew from
amazing
left to right in when damn fast, man. It was really, really fast. It was not
really.
I didn't see it while filming, and it was almost not noticeable when I reviewed the video. But I just saw a little thing flying through the clouds when I looked at the video for the third or fourth time. It went like boom, like really fast.
What a trip!
Yeah, and then I slowed it down, and I had this. Yeah, could be some kind of triangle.
It does look like that.
Yeah, it does look like a bird. It's better noticeable in the edited picture when I sharpened it a little bit, and it's not that blurry. But I don't have it here right now, as I said. Yeah, but it's a very interesting.
That's okay. Wow, thanks for showing.
Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, that did get me inspired. So how did you angle it then? How did you have it sort of sitting like your phone like this?
And just take it in your hands, just point it.
Oh, okay, I get you.
He just he said usually cloudy, not super cloudy, but like patchy cloudy days, at least there's a good amount of clouds in the sky because they like to go in and out through the clouds just for
kind of hide themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'll send you a message if I have.
Yeah,
how long? Awesome. How fast did it happen when you tried it? Like right away?
It happened my first time doing it.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna also try that out in the woods with my other experience.
Go for it. Yeah, do it, please.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually there's a place called Burlington, Wisconsin here, and there's a weird phenomenon in this woods where you just take your camera and you just take pictures in random spots. And your pictures will all turn out swirly and have orbs and other, like you have like a double view, that's really crazy shit. I don't know if it's because there's some weird portals, or it's called the vortex. They call it there, the
Okay.
Burlington vortex.
All right.
You're in
All right.
Wisconsin.
I
Come
may have
check
to
it
go
out.
visit that too. Yeah. I'm like in the middle of getting a camper trailer so that I can travel and have my camper trailer
There
also.
you go.
So I can go park it and go wander around in the woods.
Yeah, do that.
Cool. I will definitely think of that or do that. Thank you for telling me about that. That's awesome.
But let's move on a little bit with your
Yes.
teleportation story. You've been teleported from A to B, and
Yes.
your parrot was with you, and I think your dog. So tell us about that.
Yes.
That sounds interesting.
Okay. So there's an area in Georgia that has a nature preserve. It's got like 5 trails on it. It's not a big place, but when you're there, you can it's just a very nice nature feeling there. So I realized not long after going there that I was seeing these tree manipulations and these the tall skinny pines, the dead ones have been like, they look like they were being rearranged in the forest. And at first, I thought, is this from the weather? Like, because I was kind of new to that area, and I thought, well, maybe the wind, or how would that do that? I don't know, but it definitely made me, it stood out. And then I started noticing like these rearranging of the branches and the pulling downs of the branches and a log placed over the top, these different things that are associated with the Sasquatch people. And I, in that time frame, I was more and more learning about what they're about. And I started talking out loud to the space. And like the trees, this is what I feel like, that since their roots go down into the earth, that I could talk to the trees, and that I could say something as if I'm speaking to the entire world through the trees. That's what I decided to do. And I was talking to the Sasquatch people, or whatever other beings of the light, from the light, the good beings, letting them know, thank you for being with me. I'd love to learn from you. I want to be friends, these sorts of things. And so soon after that, I started hearing these vocals in different areas. I heard it like a half hour from there. I heard it right outside my neighborhood I was living in. Then again in upstate South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. So I was starting to hear these vocalings, and also these owls. And I say that in quotes because they can sometimes mimic different animal sounds. So I decided to go out to that same nature preserve area to see if I could hear some vocals. So I brought my parrot and my dog with me. I bring them with me. I brought them with me a lot. My dog, she last year, it's been a year now, she took her last breath. But my parrot, she's still with me. She's been with me 27 years. And so I take her with me a lot. Both of my animals have been with me through many paranormal experiences. And so it's not a big deal. It's not like it doesn't freak them out or anything like that. They actually, well, I've seen my bird look at things up in the sky and look around like she's seeing things that I don't see. So I had them with me. My bird's on my shoulder. My dog's just walking off leash. I decided to go to an area off trail. And when I was walking to this particular area that I wanted to go to off trail, I noticed a branch like stuffed into the ground. And that's something that sometimes people will talk about, where it's a long branch and it's like somebody took it and just like not literally hammered it into the ground, but it is in the ground, and it wasn't growing there. Somebody put it there. And what's happening to my screen? It's like,
Oh,
I'm changing colors. That's okay. I like it. I look sort of violet.
I had that happen a while ago with another guest. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't do it. It's okay though.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting some good vibes right now. The violet color.
The government is listening.
No, I'm getting some spiritual vibes, some good spiritual vibes. So I thought, well, maybe this is a trail marker for them. So I'm like, I'm going to go off trail right here. And it was literally in the spot that I had been out before. So I went out there and I'm just standing in the woods off trail. And I'm like, let's say 20 yards off of the trail. And I'm just waiting for like the sun to start going down and for that time frame where the bug starts singing in the trees right before dusk. And I'm listening and seeing if I will hear something, because that is when I have heard things, is around that time frame. So nothing's happening. I'm hearing the birds or the insects singing, and that's it. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna order a pizza. That's how close I was to go get my pizza. It wasn't like in the wilderness. Okay. So I ordered my pizza, and then the sun was really starting to go down. I'm like, okay, I better go. And as I started walking back towards the trail, I kind of was more off to the left a little bit than when I went in. So it wasn't as familiar of the landscape, but I knew that all I needed to do is just keep walking straight and I'll hit the trail. And so somewhere in there is where I think it happened, but I didn't. So I was trying to get to the trail, and I was like, all I need to do is like go under these pine boughs, and I'll go down this little tiny embankment, and then there should be the trail. And there was no trail. And I could not understand what was going on. It didn't make any sense, because it wasn't like I made a sharp left and headed continuing in just the middle of the woods. You know, I've been going out in the woods since I was a little kid. I have a pretty good sense of direction, I must say. I'm like patting myself. I'm just saying, I was like, it didn't make any sense. So, I mean, I literally like yelled out help, because I was like freaking out. I'm like, what is going on? And now it's dark. And another thing I want to say is I had been talking to the Sasquatch people saying, I want to learn from you. I want to be friends. Teach me. I want to help, you know, these sorts of things. And so I've had times where I'm like getting ready to go do something where I'll have a thought. And I had this thought before I went out there that I should wear my rain boots, you know, my galoshes or wellies or whatever you call them, you know. And I thought, well, maybe I'll feel like going off trail and going in the swampy areas, you know, the standing water areas. So I thought maybe that's why I felt like because in my years of life, I've never once, except for this one time, worn rain boots to go hiking. So I ended up being in this standing water area. There was like standing water, like 4 or 5 inches deep. There was this fallen tree that was like, I don't know, like 3 feet, 2.5 feet in diameter, that was not there when it was just didn't make any sense. I was in a completely different landscape than when I went in. And I'd been on these trails many times. And it was where you try to use your cell phone light, and it was just blinding me. It wasn't helping me to see where to go. So my parrot was on my shoulder, and my dog, she just was keeping up herself. So she was not on her leash at all. She was just doing her own thing. So I look up through the trees. I'm in the forest through the trees, and I can see the headlights of the cars on the road way up there. And so I'm like, I'm going to just walk straight and just plow through just the land, the brush, and maybe aim a little bit to the left, because I thought, well, maybe, because I thought I knew where I was. I was imagining that I was in this spot and that I could veer left and maybe I'll hit into the parking lot, or I'll get out onto the highway and then I'll just walk to my car. So I just started walking towards the headlights, and I'm really glad that there were headlights, because I don't know what I would have done if there was no headlights, because I was so disoriented at that. I didn't know where I was. It was such a trippy feeling. I'd never had that before. So I walked about 10 minutes or so straight. And when I got to the road, I realized where I was actually more like a fourth of a mile to the right, way to the right. And I was in a section that was not part of the where I ended up, where I started, like where I went boing and was somewhere else. I was not in the nature preserve. I was far to the right, like a fourth of a mile. I don't know if this makes sense, if you're able to visualize what I'm talking. I wish I could like
Yes.
show a diagram, from like a satellite image or something.
No,
Because
gotcha. It's so interesting.
you
Let me add before you go on. Please let me add something before I forget.
yeah,
Sorry
yes,
to interrupt you. Since you mentioned owls, like really shortly before you got into your story, you mentioned owls.
mhm,
Um,
yep,
I want to mention a guy named Mike Cleland, and
okay,
let me share the screen here. Sorry for all you uh, audio only guys on here, but if you want to see it, please go to the YouTube video now. This is an article about how a hike drew Mike Leland into a world of UFOs and owl synchronicities. So he's talking about owls in connection with UFO sightings, and he had a lot of
interesting.
strange
Wow, I've
experiences.
never heard this before.
He's the only one who does it in this way, in the way he does it. So it's very interesting. And also, here is his book, The Messengers. Let's do a little promotion for Mike Leland's book.
Oh,
I've talked to Mike Leland
wow,
before. We sent emails, we exchanged emails, but we never had the chance to talk on the podcast yet. But I say yet because I'm sure it will
yeah, you
someday.
might, yeah.
This is a very, very interesting read, guys. Maybe also
Mhm.
for you, Tricia, if you're interested, get the book, The Messengers, Owl Synchronicity, and the UFO
Wow,
abductee.
it's
Very
interesting.
interesting stuff. So, and
Okay,
another thing, since you've have the impression that you've been, um,
I didn't have the impression.
or yeah,
It
sorry,
literally happened.
it happened.
I
Since you,
literally went from one point, and my animals, we went from one point in the forest to another,
yes,
like a fourth of a mile away. It was
since you
just, and
went
so
through a
that's part of what the Sasquatch people do, is a way that they travel, is that they can just go from one area to the next
yeah,
like that.
I've heard that before, and it's very interesting. And we have a mountain here over here which is right on the border of Austria and Germany. It's right in the middle. It's called the Untersberg, and this mountain is known for its time anomalies and for its legends and myth and
Mhm.
superstitions around.
Okay.
It's a very interesting story, the Untersberg. Uh, for anybody who's interested, I will put some links in the description, but they are in German. Unfortunately, you have to translate them somehow with the AI or something like that. But the Untersberg is also famous for being a portal place. Some people
Okay.
say, at least, it is a portal place. And there was three guys. I don't know exactly. I have the article here. I think it was 87. Yeah, it was 87. Let me share the screen once again.
Okay.
These three guys, you see it already? No, yes, no.
Yes, I can see it.
So these are the guys that disappeared at the Untersberg.
Oh,
So
wow.
they went to the Untersberg to do some hiking and stuff, and
Mhm.
suddenly they disappeared. They parked their car at the foot of the Untersberg, and everything was in the car. Those are the news reports of what happened. So they parked the car, and I think they left their um, um, passports and everything in the car, and it disappeared. And then a big search started. And here you can follow the news reports, how they searched them with helicopters, and people went out there with dogs and stuff and looked for them. But
Wow.
they couldn't be found. And in the end, the story story goes like this. Though one of these guys called home with the telephone, said, "Oh, I'm still alive, and I'm in Alexandria, Egypt." So that's a plot twist. So these guys claim
Oh,
they have
see,
somehow they
love hearing those stories where they are found or they're somewhere else completely. Just one of them was found?
I think all three of them claimed that they found themselves again at some point of time on a ship that went to Alexandria, Egypt. So
Wow,
yeah, no,
that's amazing.
of course, the official news say those were just adventurers. They want to break out and have their fun and went to Alexandria. But other people say they left their
There
passport.
would, yeah, I mean, there would be like ways of documenting them from one thing to the other, the plane,
Yes.
people would have seen them and, all that stuff. So that's amazing. Those are some of my stories that I like to hear about because of my experience is listening to the stories of the people that they can talk about it. When I was telling a friend about this, who's also, he's in Wisconsin, and he was saying he talked to a lady that she teleported 7 miles and ended up on like a horse farm and walked up and went up and said, I somehow traveled 7 miles, or I traveled to here from where I was. Can you help me? And so that lady took her to the owner of the horse farm, took her to the police station, and then he didn't tell me what town it was. It's in the United States. But that they said that things like that happen in that area. Weird things will happen in that area. So yeah, it was very interesting because I mean, when you have it happen to you, I feel like I've tried to make sense of my experience. Was it that they were showing me because I was saying I want to learn from you? Were they showing me how they can travel from one place to the other? I mean, all the experiences I've had in this, it's all been good, gentle, kind, loving, reciprocity, funny, so there's nothing has been scary or mean or hurtful or anything like that. So were they just kind of showing me like, okay, look, you want to have an experience? Here you go. We're going to move you and the animals from one area to another in a way that's not too far away because you'll be able to get back to your car and then carry on with your life. I don't know. I mean, thank God, because whoa, that would have been too much for me, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing.
Ending up in Alexandria, maybe. That would
Whoa.
be crazy. I have another story if you allow me to tell you the story.
Yeah.
A personal friend of mine, he's a book publisher here from Germany. And he told me in a podcast, he told me the story about how he was in France with his wife. And it was many years ago. He was in France with his wife and they traveled on the roads there and nothing left and right. So nothing there, no houses, no nothing. And at one point, they stopped on the road and they saw a very small village in front of them. And everything looked pretty poor. The houses looked poor and broken down.
Run down. Yeah.
Those people had poor clothes on. And all in all, he had the impression that it's not a wealthy village. And it was very small, just a few houses. And so they stopped a few 200, 300 meters, I don't know, something like that, in front of that village. And his wife said, "We want to go there, take some pictures." Or he said, I don't know, maybe don't want to make them feel bad. The tourists come with the cameras and take pictures of them. No, it's not good. He said, "Let's take a few pictures from here, from the
road or whatever,
landscape and everything, and the village from a few meters away." And then they drove on. So they went home, and after they went home, he took a look at the pictures, of course, and all these pictures were blurry and destroyed and nothing were on it and just black. So that was strange enough. And the year after that, they went to the same spot and they stopped at the same spot. And of course, you might know it already, the village wasn't there. Of course,
wow,
it wasn't there. And
that's cool. Yeah,
they drove to the next city or village. I don't remember. And they asked people, where's this little village gone? We've seen this village last year with these people in poor village. And they said there is no. There was one maybe long ago, but maybe we don't know. So he said, this guy said, no, there's no village. There was no village that I know of in the last year. So, and that's where he thought maybe I was in a time anomaly, or maybe portal stuff, because now he researches portals. That's crazy. Now he's very into this
or
stuff.
the
Research.
Mandela effect.
Or the Mandela. Could be, yeah.
They were seeing in another time. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've had that happen where I feel like I was seeing people from another time, and they were one of the people was seeing me too. It was very trippy. It was like a kind of a ghost experience, but it felt like I was seeing in their time. So I wonder if that's what they were doing. I mean, that's fun when you're with someone else and you have an experience. It's so fun to have that. It's still fun when you have one by yourself, but yeah, there's something really fun about that when you have it with someone else. But that's cool.
Still, I still keep in mind that he maybe lost track of where he was in the second time he was, and maybe he.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we're on the wrong road, and he just thought it was there.
I know we want to dismiss it. We want to just think that, oh, they don't know what they're talking. You know, we want to dismiss it. I don't know. I don't.
Daniel's a skeptic.
I am. Yeah.
He doesn't like to believe in stuff like that.
I just consider every possibility, of course.
Oh, I'm sure he did too. I mean, he had the experience himself. It must have been. It's like mind-boggling. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's not. I'm a skeptic, but I had my experiences too. So, but I don't. But I do not straight up believe. If somebody tells me something, I say, "Have you done this? And have you done that? And have you done that twice, or triple, or quadruple,
it can't
or
be duplicated.
whatever?"
Things like that are not necessarily going to be duplicated. It's just random.
Yeah,
you can't make it happen. You know, it's just.
Yes.
So I was living in a house that was a historic house. It was built in the early 1900s. It was on land that had been it was a special land, sacred land before, you know, in the Santa Cruz Mountains and the redwood trees, very pretty area. And in the early 1900s, there was a hotel, a restaurant, like 9 little cabin houses that the people would come from, like San Francisco and different areas. Wealthy people would come and stay at this land. And so the house I lived in was like the last remaining little cabin house. And so I'd been there, I don't know how long I'd been living there, maybe over a year or something. And so one day I woke up, or in the middle of the night, I woke up to myself sitting up, which was a little weird in just that. Like you open your eyes and you're already sitting up. That in itself is trippy. But I opened my eyes, and at the foot of my bed, like standing on the floor at the foot of my bed, is a woman and a boy. And they're wearing really nice clothes. And at the time, I mean, I would say like late 1800s, early 1900s, really nice clothes. And the woman was, let's say, in her like late teens, early 20s. And then the boy was, let's say, 8 years old or so. And they were oblivious of me. They were just completely having their own experience. I could not believe my eyes. That was the first time I'd seen, like, I mean, when I was like 8, I saw like a shadow. I mean, a man that was a spirit, but I could tell it was a man, and he was wearing clothes and that. But this was like full on, looked like real people standing there. And it looked like I was looking into like I was seeing another time. Like they were having their experience, and I was somehow able to watch it be happening. And they were just standing there. And I watched for like, I don't know if it was like 30 seconds or a minute. And then they just dissipated and then faded out. And I was like, wow, that's trippy. And I went back to sleep. So then like a week or so later, I was watching TV on the couch. I fell asleep on the couch. I was laying down like this. I opened my eyes. And now those 2 people are standing out ahead of me, like let's say 8 feet away from me. And the way that my eyes were like this, I could see like their mid bodies down. Not saying that they're it was just because of the way my eyes were looking, the angle. So as I open my eyes and I see this, and it's the same thing. The boy is standing in front of the lady, and he went like this. Like he leaned down to look at me. So he was now in the same seeing me as I was seeing him. And whoa, I jumped like 3 feet in the air. I was not expecting that. And so I quickly turned and went back to sleep. It was just so sudden, and it was just so shocking that I didn't know how to process it. So went back to sleep. And then I don't know how long it was after, like a couple days, another week, don't remember. I fell asleep on the couch again. Same thing, laying on my side. I open my eyes, and now he's like this far from my face, and he's looking into my face like trying to understand what he is seeing. So was he seeing, like, was I the ghost? Do you know what I mean? Like there was this very interesting experience happening. She stayed kind of inanimate, like just standing there like a mannequin or something. But he was moving, or he was an intelligent, like he looked completely solid, real being standing, tripping out, like looking at me, and and so what was he seeing? Did he see my whole body? Did he see the couch? Did he only see my face? I don't know. It was a trip, and that changed my life in the spirit side of things, and like that kind of, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
There's
a lot going on.
A lot of experiences to be had.
Yeah, so many interesting things and so much to explore. It's very interesting. Thank you for
I mean,
telling
I
all
wish
this
I would have
stuff.
said like, hi, or something, or what's your name, or you can see me. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten more like, okay, if I have something like that, I'm going to try to not be shocked and be stunned, and see if I can have a back and forth interaction, instead of being like, oh my God, and then like jump 3 feet in the air because it's super startling because someone's in your face like that close, and then turn over and go back to sleep. So something was going on at that time frame in this house. Like, I don't know, the veil or something was my senses were more heightened at that time, or I'm not sure. And then like a week after that, I'm in my room. I was sleeping, and this time I woke up, my head was sort of like facing, like where I opened my eyes, I'm looking at the sheets, my bed, and I turned to look, and there's a lady standing there, a totally different lady, an older lady, and she's from a newer time frame, I would say like from the 60s to the 80s or something. And I mean, full on like a real person standing there. I mean, I knew it wasn't like someone like coming into the house to watch me sleep. I knew it was something unique happening. And she also was looking at me with that sort of crunkled up, like trying to understand what the heck was she seeing of me. So it just, there is this something with somehow connecting time frames. I don't know.
Interesting.
It's a trip.
That reminds me of the story of Crystal, an elderly woman that I interviewed here in Germany, and she told us the story about how in her apartment at night when she laid in bed, she was kicked from below the bed, and she was
Oh my God,
lying around in bed, and she was very
that would
demented.
suck.
I saw her face to face when I interviewed her. I
Oh.
saw her face to face. She was sitting in her chair and she was shaking. She had a shivers
my
all over while she was talking.
Wow.
I don't know how old she was, man. I won't lie, but I think she was in her 70s already back then. And
Okay.
but she was fit and strong. And she told me the story, and she said one day it started and she saw real people, like just like yourself. She
Yeah.
said one night she saw a woman and a child with a child at the side, standing at her bed, and she had the impression that the woman wanted the little girl that was with her to give a candle that the girl held in her hand, the candle to Crystal, but she wouldn't. The girl wouldn't give the candle to Crystal, and then these two apparitions disappeared. So and
Wow.
she saw different apparitions throughout the day. She saw construction workers with helmet and working clothes, and she saw foresters. She saw preachers. She saw nurses. She saw everything. She saw normal people, like as you see them walking on the streets, walking through an apartment like randomly. And
Yeah.
one night she woke up. She was woken up by such an apparition, and she said, it was a man with a very angry face. He was staring at her, very, very angry. He was very angry, and he pointed a gun at her,
Oh my God.
like he wanted to kill her. He was very,
Mhm.
his face was very angry. She said,
Wow.
totally scared. She almost got a heart attack, and she turned around the bed and pulled the blanket over her head, and this
That's what I do.
guy, yeah, me too. And this guy disappeared, and then she
Wow.
called a team
Dang.
of paranormal investigators, and they came
Mhm.
and they set up their cameras and stuff. And the
Yeah.
next day they came to pick up the cameras, and one of the cameras was broken. It didn't turn on, and we hear it a lot with paranormal investigators to say the batteries are drained or the
Yeah.
is broken, and so was this camera. It was broken, and that night when they left again with the broken camera, that night she said a ghost appeared at her bedside and had a camera in his hand and took a
No
picture,
way.
like if you wanted,
Wow. How interesting.
like if you wanted to mock her. Yeah,
Yes.
didn't work, but I
Oh, oh,
taken
I
a
like
picture.
that.
Yeah,
That's a
and
good story.
she's
Wow.
really suffering from that. I think it's still happening. I've talked to her maybe a year ago, and she said, "Yeah, it's still going on." She said, "It
Wow.
follows me. It follows me when I go on holidays. I have the same thing in my hotel room." And she had to go to the hospital. And once she went to the hospital, she said, even in the hospital bed and at her bedside, she saw these um, apparitions,
She's seeing the same ones or just all sorts of different
all
ones?
sorts of different.
Okay. Yeah. So she just has that ability.
But she don't
Wow.
want to. She doesn't. She said, "I just wanted to go away. I don't fucking care what
Yeah.
it is. I don't care
Yeah.
what they want from me. I don't want to help them with something. I don't want to hear their messages. I want them to go away. I want to live
Yes.
live the rest of my life in peace.
Right.
It scares me. I'm scared, and I want to live in peace. I don't want them
Yeah.
tell me or want them to tell me I should help them or whatever. But
Yes.
he said they never talk. So, but she never hears them talk. I think she said sometimes she sees them talk, but she doesn't hear anything. But most of
Okay.
the time, they not even try to talk to her.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with the other, we are going to do things to connect with the spirit or the being or whatever, but the being doing the thing to show we know what you're doing, that's fascinating to me, because I've had that. And one of the things I joke about, in my progression with the Sasquatch people, is the finding the one footprint, and the people that haven't put, I say, two and two together to for me, it's like they have to be able to be interdimensional, multidimensional beings in order to only produce a footprint or footprints that start and then stop from nowhere, right? So I started joking around, like when I would talk to people, like when on podcasts, like, what do people think? They're hopping around on one foot out in the woods. Okay, so I started saying that. Okay, and then I'm still like having where I'm being interacted with out in the woods, and I'm being shown things and hearing things and rocks and being thrown and different things, right? And so I started saying, like, you are welcome in my house, because they've been so good to me They've been allowed me to see things and shown me things and allowed me to go to amazing locations and all that. So I'm saying to them, you are welcome to come in. You are welcome into my house. So this one day, this was earlier in the year, when I was living in Alabama. I woke up. It was a rainy day, and there was hardwood floors out there in the family room, and there was a door that leads to the back upstairs deck, and then right near that is the doorway to the kitchen. So I walk out into the family room, and there is two wet footsteps on the hardwood floor. And at first, when I saw it, it looked like somebody, like a really big footprint, but I came to realize it looked like they were up on the balls of their foot. So it was only showing like the toe prints and the heel, or I mean this part of the foot, that part. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it looked like somebody, a really big person standing, let's say in squat position, with 1 foot way out to their right and 1 foot way out to their left, way farther shoulder distance. You know what I'm talking? Can you visualize that?
Yes.
Yeah. Because one was pointed towards, like, right to go out the back door, and one was pointed to go into the kitchen. And in that was trippy. Okay. 2 wet footsteps in the house. And then so more of it was, one footstep was more dry than the other one. And then I realized that they were both right footsteps, just the right foot. And then, so as I was starting to try to, and I have this on my YouTube channel, Exploring the Paranormal with Tricia Brown. You can see the video. I also took pictures, and it's on I have a Facebook group called Paranormal, Spiritual, and Mystical Experiences. And so I was out walking and trying to put it all together, and I realized, this is what I think, and I started laughing, was the Sasquatch was saying to me, look, I'm hopping around on 1 foot, because there's a hopping on the right foot, and then going back out, and then teleporting back in. So did you get it? I mean, it's like 2 wet footsteps that are just the right foot, and they're both drying at different paces, different speeds of drying. And so the one that was by the back door, the oils on the toe prints stayed for days. I just let it stay there. I never washed it off, and it stayed for days. It was amazing. And so in my telling my stories and my speaking out loud, it's like he's saying to me, I'm listening to you, I hear you, and I'm going to have fun with you. And say, yep, here I am, hopping around on 1 foot.
Hopping around on 1 foot. Let's have a look at the video.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I pulled up the video, and
here it is.
Guys who just listening to the audio podcast here, we will do the best to describe what we see here, and if you want,
this is awesome. Okay, by the way, if you're rolling the film, like, this is me the moment I'm still trying to put it together. At first I thought it was a left foot and a right foot, but you can see that it's actually, to me, I think it's just a right foot.
So we see the front part of a foot here, and we see the toes. So if somebody is standing on tiptoes, something like that, it looks like if somebody was standing on tiptoes, and it's
exactly.
It's right at the door. It looks like the paw of a big dog. Oh, maybe.
There was no big dogs in the house.
Yeah, I see. It's not exactly like the paw of a dog, but a little. Yeah. And it's very big, so it would be a very big one. So this is the one. And where's the other one? Oh, it's here. Oh, yeah. There it is. It looks also as if somebody was standing on
I'm trying as best as I can at that moment to try to, there you go. There you can see it.
It's a strange, let me pause here.
There you go. You can see, yeah.
And it is wet, right? You said it's
yes,
wet.
It's more drying. That was the more drying one when I walked out there. That was the one that was more dry.
Yeah, but it was only these two, right?
Yes.
And no trace or where they come from or where they're heading. That's interesting.
And then behind the house was a big yard and then a creek down below.
Yeah.
So there was its own sort of woods. Isn't that trippy? Look at that.
It is trippy.
It's one of the most interesting experiences that I've ever had.
It looks this footprint looks very interesting. What could it be? What could it be? Could be.
So I told you what I feel it is already.
This also this looks as if somebody could do this by accident with something, but since there's two similar ones, it's a little bit strange, and they're very far apart. So
and I was the only one
Mhm.
in that part of the house at that time.
That's strange.
Too.
That's
Yeah.
strange. So, and this is from your channel. I can show people your channel, Exploring the Paranormal with Tricia Brown.
All my stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Subscribe to
Thanks.
the channel, guys. I will put a link in the description.
Oh, wait. Okay, can you go back there? Can you show that again really quick?
Yes.
I want to show another one, or just to tell you if somebody wants to look at it. Okay, see the head of my parrot eating spaghetti,
Sure.
and then the one next to it on the left. Okay, I've watched this video way after the fact of me filming it, and there's eye shine. There's a being with me in there, like standing in front of the fire pit.
Okay,
it's at about 30 seconds. So I'm proud of my fire pit in this. I'm getting to stay at this amazing RV park in 2020. I was there by myself. There's my dog, there's Lucy, and she's just peaceful, and I'm like made my own fire pit, and I'm just super in heaven that I'm there. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling happy, and then I'll start there. There it is. Check that out. Did you see that? Oh my God. That is amazing to me. Like I'm like someone was there with us.
Can't rewind it here, sorry, but let's look at it again. So we see a fire pit, as you said, and you were just filming.
And there it was very open in that spot.
Yeah.
There was trees behind me, but not in front at all.
But you didn't hear anything coming from the spot?
I had no idea. Yeah, it was just peacefully hanging out with us. Yes, I had no idea it was there. And I didn't watch the video till like...
Oh, there are these, like glowing eyes. Interesting, man.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, guys.
Thanks for showing that. Yeah, that was pretty profound. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I will put the link in the description. Guys who only listen to this podcast, please don't mind us looking at the video. You will find the video on Tricia's YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting, man.
Yes,
didn't it scare you?
No, it didn't, because I was in those moments when I was having such a good time in my life. Like I was getting allowed to borrow this camper trailer and stay in this amazing RV park, like a minute drive to the border of Canada in Eureka, Montana. And I had been having experiences. I was in that area for 6 months. And in that time I was there, I heard vocals. I heard like, I was camping and I heard like a loud, I call it the man yell. It was like a sound, but like really loud and long sound. And then a return call of it. Yeah. So I had that happen like, let's say mid-June or so. Then this, I think, was the beginning of July. I can't remember exactly what time frame that exact was, that when the fire pit was, somewhere in there. And then 3 rocks thrown in the water when I was at the Tobacco River, which was about 15 minutes from where I was in that. So I was having, and then also on my YouTube channel and also on my Facebook group, I talk about when something was carved on my back, or etched. A symbol was etched on my back in September or October of that same year. And it looks like a shamanic symbol. And I have that somewhere too, the pictures of it. Yeah, so there was lots going on. But no, I wasn't scared at all. I was totally enjoying myself. I was so happy to be able to be borrowing that camper trailer and living in that RV park. I had it all to myself. There was no one there. So no, I was not scared whatsoever at that. I was having a really good time.
Damn.
So
if that happened to me and I would have seen these eyes, I would have
so it just tells you though, like you're gonna attract to you what you're who you what you are, who you are. It was coming to hang out with us. It was just being present with us. And so I'm very thankful that I got to see it. So they've been doing things to let me know that they're there, but it's all been very gentle. Just, I swear, like 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I was hiking, and one of the experiences that I had was a little bush that was right off of the trail. The branch moved, like someone was standing right next to me and moved the branch to let me know that they were there.
Huh.
So it was not scary. I didn't feel a scary vibe whatsoever. So they can be standing right there with you and giving zero vibe, which to show you that is an exact example right there. I had no idea that it was there at the time. So when you look at it, it's kind of like, how tall was it? And like you almost try to fill in the shape of it. And I kind of imagine a smaller possible Sasquatch being, because how many of those what beings out there can do, like have eye shine, that height off of the ground? And so I think possibly a Sasquatch being could have been another being. I also saw exactly where I was at, right there is a mountain range across the street, basically from where I was at. And I saw an object, some sort of, it looked like a building in the sky that was so giant that it was one of those things where I only saw it for like a split second. Kind of like when you see like a satellite in the sky where you see the reflection for a second and then you can't see it anymore because you don't, it was kind of like that, but it was a giant dark shape, like rectangular shape with another strange, like other structure attached to it. And earlier in the night, I saw what looked like when you release a bunch of balloons and they're kind of staying together as they're starting to separate. I saw like 15 or 20 lights like that just going in the sky. So there was a lot going on for me at that time that I was having these, different experiences. So I find it fascinating. I feel honored that they're letting me know that they're there. They don't have to. You know what I mean? Like
if that would happen to me, Bigfoot throwing rocks at me and sticks at me,
really?
it scares me. I would have need to clean my pants. I tell you that, front and back.
Really?
Yeah. Are you aware of the Sierra sounds of this?
Yes.
Yeah, those are very interesting sounds.
I know.
Yeah, so interesting.
I've been wanting to read his book actually because when I tell my stories, some people say that something with what he talks about is similar to what I talk about. So I don't know exactly all the things, but yeah, Ron Moorhead. Yeah. Actually I've seen one. I've seen one. One showed himself to me when it sounds weird to say it like that, but when it was in 95 or 96 or 2005 or 2006. I was living not far from the Sierras in the lower Sierras in Auburn, California. I was mountain biking and a Sasquatch ran right in front of me, not like so fast it was cutting me off while I was on my bike, but it was, let's say, I don't know, 30 feet in front of me. And it went across the trail from right to left. And it took me a really long time to put it together, because at first I thought, oh, it's a bear. But then when I replayed it in my mind, there was no arms or legs or head. And it was more like a wavy shape of the fur. And there was no sound. And it was like I was seeing the midsection. So like 4 feet by 3 feet, like a rug flying through the air and then gone. There was no sound of running up a trail. You know, it was a uphill on the left side and a downhill slope on the right side in the middle of the forest. And then there was this remaining like smell that was sort of permeating a little bit. And it smelled like horsey, musky, like I feel like kind of a pheromone like scent. And it was moving very fast. So it was one of the things of this being choosing to let me know it was there. And I think that they've done, in their way, it's been a gentle process in my learning about them over the years. And then, my choice to decide to get farther and farther into it and learn about them and that sort of thing. So there's people that have experiences all the time. And I love talking to them, because, it's like, they're kind of like people that you relate to. You feel like they're way beyond the wondering if it's true. They're having these personal experiences with them. So you're saying that you have had rocks thrown, or you're saying if you did, it would scare you?
I haven't seen one, since we don't have stuff like that here in Germany. Bigfoot encounters.
Really?
No, nothing.
None?
No, none.
Really? Oh, wow.
So we have stories, of course, in Germany and Europe. We have stories about the werewolf, of course. You over there maybe call it dog man, but sometimes they are different creatures. Sometimes people say they are the same, but there's no recent reports of people claim that have seen a werewolf or something.
Wow.
Like it's more legends about the werewolf. Or tales.
I'm thinking that they can go anywhere in the world that they would want to.
Yeah, of course. I think I can imagine Dogman, Bigfoot, Mothman, you name it. All these beings are somewhat multidimensional beings. Of course, they can be where they want, or maybe they are bound to certain places. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with portal places, special places. I don't know. Maybe we don't have any of these spots here in Germany. I really don't know what to make out of it. But I think there are multidimensional beings, and I also think that UFOs, cryptids, and paranormal apparitions, all of that has one origin. Has the same origin. I think it's all the same, and origins from the same whatever.
The same dimension?
Realm, dimension,
same realm.
Universe, multiverse. I don't know, but I think it's all the same, because reports of Bigfoot often are told in the same context with reports of UFOs. People see UFOs and they see a Bigfoot. People see Bigfoot coming out of a UFO. People see Bigfoots go into a UFO. People see UFO that release orbs, and then a Bigfoot appears.
Yes.
Orbs appear, Bigfoot disappears, orb goes into UFO, stuff like that. People tell. I know, since I'm having this podcast in my German podcast project that I have even longer. People told me millions of these stories, and that's so interesting to see that there's a pattern in some kind of way. It
is so interesting. Yes.
You put the puzzle pieces together, and with every talk we have, you have a new puzzle piece. And it's interesting. This is why I think everything is interconnected somehow.
Well, I like to go to places like that. Like I like to go to places where there's these different experiences. And I think it has to also do with the land, like the energy of the land or something. Like I want to go to these lands that have really good, high vibing land. It feels good there. It's peaceful. It's like euphoric. But then at the same time, there's these paranormal experiences there, the UFO and the Sasquatch and these orbs. That's how I started learning. That's like what was my first real introduction to the Bigfoot people. The tree people is what I like to call them. That's how I was introduced to them in Mena, Arkansas, where there's an area called the nursery where the older tree people teach the younger tree people how to manipulate the trees to make them as markers and different reasons why they do it. And I went there because it's on a crystal. You can go crystal digging there. It's called Board Camp Crystal Mine. So I wanted to go do that, but I also wanted to go because it was a place that has all these different experiences that go on there. And I was not interested in the Bigfoot thing at all. This was in 2018, but I wanted to go because of the sacred land there. The tribes people of the area have asked the owners if they could do their ceremonial work there. And, this sort of thing. And the UFO thing, there's been UFO activity there. And I wasn't expecting to really learn about Bigfoot at all, but he showed me around, like he showed me these little arches with the log growing, put over the top to hold the tree down, and the trees growing, like being manipulated to grow in these different ways and that kind of thing. And he was saying that the tribes people call the Sasquatch people the tree people, and something like really resonated with me when I heard that. And I just started thinking about my years of growing up in the redwoods and walking through the redwoods and seeing these really tall, these really like long branches lining up, somebody's like lining them up next to each other against a tree, just stacking them next to each other. And I'd seen that more than a few times. And I thought, well, maybe it's the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts or pagans or just, I didn't know. Like, and then I realized, oh my God, I've been seeing this stuff since I was a little kid. And and then when I was in 96, I went fishing in the mountains of Idaho, and my boyfriend, he left to go. We were at this river, and he left, and he was going to be gone for about an hour. And I was happy to be out there by myself. It was such a nice day, this amazing river, and on the other side of the river was this amazing sand beach, and I was like down in this canyon, so really tall, upward sloped angles of steep trees. And I heard like this, sounded like a big tree snap. And it just was like the only thing you could hear was this snap. And I look over and I couldn't see anything other than trees. And I'm like, what did that? And I looked across the sand beach, and I could see these footsteps from the water up into the trees. And I was like, what is that? What did that? Bear? Then I heard the tree snap. Then I started hearing like this, like something swaying, something back, whoosh, whoosh, sound like of a tree swaying. I was just like, oh my God, is a bear going to start coming down from the trees onto the beach? And again, as I've been putting together these different experiences, I feel that he was watching me, that he had been down on the sand, went up into the trees. And their abilities, they do have the ability to know what you're feeling and what you're thinking, and their eyesight and all their senses are super heightened. I feel like he was saying, that was me, those were my steps, and I'm right here. I did that. Not to freak me out, but to just say, I'm right here. And so when it takes me this time in my life to process it, I got tears in my eyes, because I was like, I felt honored that they've been communicating with me all these years. and are continuing to communicate with me to this day, more and more, showing me and teaching me and letting me know that they're listening by, all these things. I mean, the footsteps in this, the wet steps, and whatever, because we're each having our own experience. So I'm having my own experience. It's valid, it's happening. It's similar to other people's experiences, but it's mine. And so I can really only say what it means to me, but it's pretty profound. It's fun, I mean, Dustin, tell me, what is your most profound experience that you've had?
When I had my UFO sighting back in October 19th, 2012, I was walking into my car after leaving my girlfriend's house. Sun was going down, and I just happened to get to my car, and I so happened to look to the sky, and out of the clouds came this black silhouette of a boomerang with 5 dim lights under it. And it was dead silent when it flew over my head about 40 feet above the treetops. And yeah, again, that was I'm gonna shit my pants because I was ready to hear this thundering sound of because you see those bombers that look like a boomerang. I thought it was for sure military, but the fact that it was dead silent shook me to my core, where my hair, my arms raised, and I ran back to my girlfriend's house, like all panicky. He's like, "You won't believe the fuck I saw." And then after that was kind of my start of my UFO career of diving deeper into the subject and finding out that Wisconsin is a treasure trove for UFOs, and having 3 other cities have yearly UFO parades because their towns have crazy sightings since the early 1900s. And yeah, again, Native Americans been talking about UFOs here. We have pyramids here in Wisconsin. We have Aztlan with land pyramids. They're step pyramids that look like they're made from the Aztec or the Mayans. Actually, there's a theory that the Mayans did migrate all the way up here and set up shop.
Yes.
And then there's 10 underwater pyramids of Rock Lake near Aztlan, like 5 miles away. And then we
need to come visit this area. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then 8 miles from there's a Stonehenge called Missouri Hill. There's like monoliths that are surrounded by smaller stones, circles, that has some relations to Aztlan and stuff like that. But yeah, again, it's a treasure trove. It's endless. I have tons of stories that comes out of there, but I'm sure our audience has heard thousands of stories about that. But yeah, again, that's where I got my start back in 2012 with that sighting.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I did not realize that all that was going on in that part of the world.
Oh yeah, Wisconsin's got it. Wisconsin's popping.
Wow. I am gonna find out when I can come visit that area. That's amazing.
Come on.
Okay. I am. That's what I've been doing, traveling and living in different locations and going to these different places and experiencing and having these amazing connections. It's
cool.
Wow. So
I have 2 more interesting spots for you to visit when you go on your travels. You should see for one, you should see Mount Nyangami. It's in Africa. And it's we barely come to Africa, but if we go
you never know, right?
Just don't go to Africa.
It's similar to the Untersberg, which I told you about a few minutes ago.
With the portals?
It's also said to be a strange place with strange apparitions. Let's call it paranormal phenomena with time anomalies. It's the same. And not far from the mountain, there are caves. I don't remember the name of the caves. I have it here somewhere. I can send it to you. And these caves are also famous for ghostly apparitions, for strange beings appear. And there's rules. If you visit this mountain, and if you visit the cave, there's rules. People made up the rules. You're not allowed to pee somewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't have to litter. And if you're a woman and you're menstruating, you cannot visit this mountain. And there's a few more. I think there's 5 rules or so.
Okay.
And you
Yeah.
don't, you're not allowed to break these rules. And people who broke these rules and went to pee behind a bush or something like that, they disappeared. And
No way.
in the cave, in the cave, people that live there in this spot, they say in this there's a big lake in the cave, and many years ago,
Wow.
um, there was a village around this cave, and many years ago, people came there like some tribe or so, and they killed everybody in this village, and they threw them into this lake inside this cave. And people say in this cave there are mermaids. And if you are a hiker or you visit the cave and you leave the path that you're allowed to walk on, yeah, it's possible that these mermaids lure you in and
Wow.
pull you into the lake, and they drown you and pull you to the ground and eat you. So people really do believe over there, really do believe there are stories about the mermaids. They're very serious about these mermaids,
Right.
and it's interesting. And there's another place in Romania, in Transylvania to be exact. It's a very big forest. It's called Hoia Baciu, and it's it's also known to be a spooky forest with
I don't like the spooky things as much, though. I'm not really too into the people dying and like getting, hurt
those
and like I'm more
people.
into like the good stuff. But
I
anyways,
think it's an interesting story. People have been there and say that they went through forest, and they had the feeling that something's touching them, or they had scratch marks over the body. And it's also, this is why I say it. It's also known for UFO sightings. So you have everything there. You have ghostly apparitions.
everything. Yeah.
You have strange beings that appear. You have sounds coming from somewhere, and you have UFO sightings. So there's everything there. And also at the Untersberg that I told you about, there's also UFO sightings have been there. And this is why I find these places so interesting, because you have everything bundled there. And this is why I think
Yes.
everything is connected. And um, many years ago, the Freemasons went to the Untersberg to do rituals and temple nights, and all these different groups went to the Untersberg, and they had different caves in which they had their rituals. That's also a very interesting fact. Yeah.
Well, when you're talking about how you got to follow the rules, right? And that's what I was talking to you guys about way at the beginning, about where you do your best to be respectful of the space. And so when you were talking about that, and you were saying that you're not supposed to do like pee and like do all that, right? It reminded me of when I went to an area called Chaco Canyon, and that's in New Mexico. And it's a significant heritage site or a world's site. And there's these buildings that have been the archaeologists unearthed, moved the dirt and the sand away to show these different buildings. But then there's way more that the descendants are like, please do not touch any more of these. Yes, yes, you can have these be out so that it can be, learn about it, but that's it. And it's a place, it's kind of like a leave no trace kind of place. Yeah, you have to be very respectful there. And so I had been learning about that. And one of the things is that I'll leave a little offering. I'll leave I'll pull out a couple hairs, and I'll leave it at a space as an offering and saying, thank you for letting me be here. But I was told that to not do that at this whole big canyon, this whole big area. So I'm like, well, thank you for telling me. So I went on a hike up on top of this really big, really tall plateau, bluff. And there's a 1,000-year-old trail that you can walk on, a road that they all came in from different locations to come to this area. And so I was out there hiking around, and I had to pee. And I was like really trying to not, I really was like, I don't want to be disrespectful. I was thinking that. And so finally I said out loud to the space, I really need to pee. I don't want to be disrespectful. I just need to go pee. So I went behind a rock, and I was hoping no one saw me because there was only a few people up there at that time. And so I was doing my best to be respectful. I asked the ranger, is it okay if we touch the structures? Because that was like in my years of life, to be able to start going to these ancient, I used to call them ancient ruins, but I don't call them ruins anymore, because the non-physical presences, they may not think that they're ruins. They may still be being used or not. So I asked, is it okay? And she was like amazed that I asked. And she said, yes, thank you for asking. So when I was leaving to continue on with my trip after being at Chaco Canyon, I was really low on, I needed to go to the gas station. I was really low on gas. And I was a little concerned because I did the math, and the miles to get to the gas station and how much gas and I had in the truck it wasn't computing. You know what I'm saying? So I was at the stop sign, and I was thinking to myself, do I go to the visitor center and hope that maybe they have a tank, some sort of something I can use to get gas in my car? And it said, there's no gas station up here. There's no gas. So I was thinking, gosh, should I just go to the visitor station anyways? Maybe they have a maintenance shed or something. Or do I go to the left and just hope I somehow make it? And all of a sudden, this like calmness came over me. And it was like I was receiving a message that said, go left, watch the scenery, enjoy yourself. You're going to make it. And so I said, okay. So I turned left. I started heading out. It was on an Indian reservation. And I was noticing, like, that's lava rock. So it was like I was being told, you got it. Just enjoy yourself. We're going to help you to get to the gas station. And I made it to the gas station on negative amount of gas. So I'm saying, if you do your best, we can end it on this note. If you do your best to be as respectful as you can, you might receive help. And I have many times, many times. I could tell, we could spend 2 hours talking about those stories of, that's how I got to stay at that camper. And like, so, I mean, I've done my best to, like, be respectful of the space and do the things. And then these this non-physical presence stayed with me for days as I traveled across the United States. And I was told, put down your phone, just go old school, where if you need to, you're just driving straight for a very, very long time. Don't look down, don't look at your phone. It's going to be all right. You're going to get across. And so, I mean, they helped me. There was a reciprocity, I guess, that, because I did my best to be respectful of the space. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, if you're trying, but you accidentally do the wrong thing, they're gonna still kind of give you some grace, or you know what I mean?
So it's not all superstition. Sometimes there's something to it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not into that. I'm not really into the myths and the legends, because that's not, I've had real experiences. So I'm more into having more real experiences, and that are good ones, that are really, really good experiences. I mean, there's all realms out there, like you get that there's these multi-dimensional beings out there, that there's stuff going on beyond our 5 physical senses, the 5 physical senses of this world, that. Yeah. So it's fun to connect, because you get help when you really need it sometimes,
I'm really into superstition and myth and legends. I love this stuff. Since we have a lot of here in Germany, 2 days ago, and maybe we can end this episode with a little superstition here from Germany. And 2 days ago, I was invited as a guest in another podcast, and I told a story about construction sacrifices. So people in the 1700s, when they built their house, they gave a sacrifice to the spirits. So they would take care of the house so that it wouldn't burn down or fall apart or, I don't know, blown away by the wind. So they took cats, they took
Oh,
and dogs. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hear about
And they
this.
walled them in. So this is this
I'm not into that kind of stuff.
so that stuff really happened. It's not the superstition. The superstition is that people believe that
No,
these
I'm sure.
sacrifices would help that their house wouldn't burn down. And there's a very crazy story about a big house that was built by some wealthy people, and there was this woman, a very poor woman, and she had a daughter, and those people gave the woman a little bit of money, and they took the daughter as a construction sacrifice with them, and they walled the daughter.
Wow.
And
What?
there's a written
That's
report.
that's the story. That's the legend.
It's not the
right?
legend that really happened. There's a written report of this incident from
You're confusing her with all the violence.
Yeah.
There's a written report about this incident, and
Yeah, the violence. Yeah.
yeah, you can really in this report you can read that the daughter is caught.
That's okay. I don't want to read it.
Yeah, it's a very.
You want to hear a better story like that? Here's a better one. In these people were telling me that they bought a house and it was literally built on top of a Indian burial ground, for real, like.
Mhm.
And they have found artifacts that are now in the Smithsonian. And there was this tree that was leaning over a garden that had a statue in it, like a grotto. And they were talking about what were they going to do about this tree. They were concerned it was going to fall and hit into this statue. And then, long story short, a tornado came and just took the tree and left. So again, they were good people. The spirit realm knew that they were good people, so they helped them with moving the tree with a tornado. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing.
It's God's tornado.
Yeah. Well, no, the spirits, the
spirits. Yeah, sorry.
The ancient spirits, and maybe the spirits of the tornado. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, the ancient people were very connected to nature. I've experienced the wind. I had a wind come out of the forest, like a separate wind, come out of the forest, wrap around me 3 times, and go back into the forest. Like it was coming over to greet me, and I felt euphoric. I felt loved. I felt included. I felt welcomed. So there's a lot you can connect to, and it's the good stuff that's a lot more fun for me to discuss, because whatever you're discussing, you can attract it to you in your life. You know that?
Daniel likes the macabre. So he attracts the craziness.
The
well, he is German, so.
No, but you're absolutely
He's like, what?
But you're absolutely right, Tricia. People back then had the nature spirits. People also here, and before the Christians came and with church and all that shit. And
don't even going on that.
Yeah, and force people to take over the religion. So they had the nature spirits, and and were in touch with the nature spirits. Yeah, and then Christians came and brought the Bible and said, "Hey, his book is much better than your nature spirits." Oh, and by the way, if you don't like the book, we kill you all. So
they're brainwashing. They're their own being brainwashed. Then they're brainwashing. Yeah, don't even get me going. Sorry.
And all of that changed so much. I talked about it 2 days ago. Like I said, I talked about this too. And
I'm glad you're laughing.
For example, not a bad story now. For example, I asked the host of the other podcast, Brandon, 2 days ago, and I said, if I tell you picture the devil, how do you picture the devil? We all picture this red bodybuilder with horns and animal legs. So we picture the devil like that, right? As big as a man, or twice the size as a man, and with this fork and waiting in hell on a throne, waiting for you to kick your ass. And but before the religion came and the Christians came with the Bible and all the stories about heaven and hell and all of that, the devil,
Yeah.
the devil also were a little spirit, a little almost like a fairy, something like that, waiting in the kitchen to trip your your cup over.
To play with you, to mess with you.
Yeah, it was messing with it was not a brave spirit. It was the opposite of brave. It was
Those little brownies or whatever.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was very tiny.
Little-
It was always the
Mhm.
people pictured him very tiny and lurking
Yeah.
behind the stove. And if you're not watching,
Yeah.
is hiding something or
Right.
that was the devil. This is how people pictured the devil back then. And
It was
then,
about for manipulation, for control. If you don't do what we say, you're going to go to hell, and if you don't do this, then you're gonna not going to get to go into heaven, and all these man-made things. Yeah, it's
hell as pictured by church, for example, there was no hell like that before. It was, and
right.
I don't believe in the concept of heaven and hell. I believe we go somewhere,
Yes.
we die, of course, but I don't believe that I'm going to hell and burn forever.
Right.
You can make your life heaven or hell while you're alive too. So I don't
Yeah.
I think Lucifer kind of got a bad rap because then he just like disagreed with God, saying like, well, I want to give man technology and fire, kind of like Prometheus and all the same stories. And again, he did give Eve the apple for knowledge, right? Otherwise, we'd be some dumb fucks just walking around like some. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I don't
The
know.
fact
I
that
think
like,
those are all stories so that
well,
that
again,
people
I
will.
just love the stories
Yeah.
and connections with well, especially the older Bible stories tell more of the truth, in my opinion, with the gods fighting amongst each other and jealousy and all these weird human emotions that why would gods have? You know, like what the fuck?
That's
I
why I
don't know.
feel like that there's sort of a thing with trying to teach those people like some good ways of being good humans
Yeah.
with each other. Like the
In
good
their
stuff that you can take from it, like
Yeah.
how to be a good person in the world, and but there is a lot of things that have been altered, and I'm not a religious. I'm not really into talking about the religious thing. I think it's
Sure.
I don't want to upset anyone or offend anyone. I get really upset about these people coming and deciding for other people what they should think and how they should feel, and then like moving them from their homes and just causing a whole bunch of things, and then they're still doing it to this day.
You would
Like
think what's the use in forcing people to believe in something they will never
because
believe in
they've
it.
been brainwashed.
Yeah.
Because they've been taught that like you got to convert people, and then they've been taught like oh, if you don't say the things that we know, then it means that you're being affected by the devil, you're being affected by Satan, and then we must not, you're not going to go to where we go. And like it's just all, it doesn't make any sense. We're all human beings. We all just when our body stops, we go back over to the non-physical, back over to source energy, and that all
Right.
that other stuff is just for control and manipulating people, and it just is not nice. It's hurtful to others, and so I mean, I think like I've thought about this stuff. I've thought about how the people who came from who landed in America had already been manipulated and brainwashed. So then they truly think that these people who had been living here already for thousands of years, that they must be saved or whatever. And then can you imagine if you're like totally terrified of dying, you're going to maybe pretend, like, at least,
Yes.
okay, fine, I'm going to pretend that I believe what you're talking about, or you know what I'm saying, like, or I am going to assimilate just because I want to survive. That's just, it just bothers. They were manipulated, they were brainwashed before they got here. I mean, I'm really big into studying about, I was in the a park management program, like about ecosystems, habitat, conservation, preservation, all that. And so I've studied of this man, John Muir, who is, early in like conservation, preservation in Yosemite, in California. And I was loving reading his book called My Summer in the Sierra. And he's talking about his experience as he's hanging off of a waterfall and hanging off of a tree in the storm and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then he all of a sudden talks about how he sees a savage, like a dirty savage, and Nate basically is talking about an indigenous person that he came upon, and he's totally like saying horrible things. And I was appalled and blown away because of the brainwashing and that he obviously had from his past, what was going on at that time in the United States.
Yeah.
So anyways, religion stuff I'm not into whatsoever. I knew from an early age though that I was spiritual, and I remember thinking to myself, like when I was in like 5th grade, I'm spiritual, but I don't know what that means, because I was having the first experience that I had when I was like 2.5 was I saw something that was like what Moses saw, where I saw fire at the head of my bed, between the head of my bed and the wall. I saw flames. I woke up, I saw flames. The image of flames. There was literally no fire. It wasn't like there was no crackling sounds. There was no any of that. And then it dissipated and was gone. And I had that experience in my, for years in my early life. And, that represents like the divine. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, that was my very first being still so connected to the non-physical side of things, my senses being that heightened. We all come from this pure positive energy, and a lot of us do see things at an early age, but maybe our people around us are like, no, you're not, you're imagining things.
Yeah.
And then you just start going, oh, because you're the grown up, you must know more than me, so I'm gonna ignore my own self. And then the religion comes in, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But there's like, I've had plants, literally potted plants, move on their own to let me know that they can. I have literally felt empathically a plant like be excited that I'm coming over to water it.
Oh Jesus!
Everybody
wants to hug you. The wind, the plants. Jesus.
I know.
Share some love over here. Come on. That's awesome.
Like that stuff is just so amazing because I wanted to know. I wanted to see it. I want to experience it. So they're showing me. Okay, here you go. Like 2 days in a row. I mean, I saw a blade of grass. It looked kind of like a finger. It moved. It went
Alice in Wonderland.
I was not on shrooms or anything, I swear. It's just being Tricia. Okay. And then the same day, or was it like I was saying, like sometimes like 2 days in a row, I'll have these experiences. I was walking and out of nowhere. Do you guys have, like those, a magnolia tree? Do you have magnolia trees in Germany?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, they have those seed pods, right? Mm-hmm. Well, a seed pod of a magnolia tree fell out of midair below a branch of an oak tree and landed with a thud like 30 feet in front of me. And there was no magnolia tree there. There was no like squirrels in the trees, or there was not, just it fell out of midair. Yeah. So there's things going on around us all the time beyond just the spirit role. I mean, there's just all these other, I mean, there's people who have, There's a woman, her name is Wendy Garrett. She has a really great podcast. She had a podcast called Conscious Living, where she talks to all these people who have had their experiences, and she's had amazing experiences. Now she has a show called Wendy's Coffee House, and she will interview people, and then she'll talk about her experiences. She was telling a story where she was out in the woods outside, and she saw hundreds of squirrels like coming out of thin air, running across, and then going back through into thin air, like just hundreds.
Squirrels.
Yeah. Why squirrels? I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of there's a lot of things to be had. So I wanted to have these experiences. So I have been learning how. I've been listening to the people who teach, you know, the ancient people's teachings being taught down through the generations, and then these medicine people who are offering these teachings to us. And I'm thankful, because if you have a random experience, you know, you're like, I want to understand why, how did I have this experience and why? Because it's, you know, I wanted to, and because I'm connecting at the same sort of vibrational, that's what I'm looking at, it's what I'm thinking about. So I take that seriously, you know, like I have had enough experiences with like the human side, the human realm, that I would like to be better. You know, I mean, I'm so thankful when I have the really good experience. Like I'm meeting you guys. You guys are cool people, I could tell. And I'm thankful that we've gotten
we're cool.
Yes, we've aligned, right? We've aligned in this time and space to be able to be meeting up and talking.
That's right.
Just like that with everything. And so I have seen some things. Okay. I have seen some scary things.
Well, hell yeah, you have. You listed a shit ton today.
I don't want to have any more of those. Like, okay, what can I do to never have a scary thing or see a scary thing again? Right. So anytime someone starts leading down the road of this, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Let's change the subject.
That's why you're cutting Daniel off.
It's like, that's no. Nice. Anyways, let's
talk. Nice. You're killing kids now.
No worries.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now we're sacrificing humans and putting them in a wall. Holy shit.
Yeah. But we are also very thankful that you've been here today and told us what happened to you. Is very, very interesting.
Listening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thanks for telling me your guys' stories. And thanks for sharing some of the videos. That was awesome. You did your research. Good job.
A little bit. Yeah, but let's wrap it up for today. I hope we can meet again and talk some more about...
oh my God, I'd love to. Yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you. Let's end it right here, and please stay with us for 2 more minutes, okay?
Okay.